to Enough Rope. In a few short months, my first guest went from being a struggling comic in Melbourne to the toast of the UK comedy scene, thanks to timing, good fortune and a bunch of smart, funny songs like this one.
We don't eat pigs, you don't eat pigs. It seems it's been that way forever. So if you don't eat pigs and we don't eat pigs, why not eat pigs together?
Truly, the piano is mightier than the sword. Say hello to a man very much like Jimmy Webb, Tim Minchin. I mentioned Jimmy Webb there in the intro, and I didn't mean to throw you. The only other time we've had a whole piano on the set was for the songwriter Jimmy Webb. Now, I don't want you to feel in any way challenged by that.
Expectations are high.
Yeah. I'm watching you play there. You're a beautiful pianist. You're a self-taught songwriter, effectively, aren't you?
Well, yeah, I did sort of childhood piano up to about grade 2 and wasn't doing my practice or anything, and one of the best things my parents ever did for me is not stop me quitting. They just let me quit. And then I say that because I know a million people are like really pressured to do it, and then at the end of 12 years of piano, they'd play their concerto at the end of school, close the lid, and that's it, because it's become a discipline. So for me, piano became the thing I did when I was meant to be doing my homework. It was the undiscipline. It's just wicked. I loved it. Very hard to get away with that. You're supposed to be doing your homework and your parents can hear you playing the piano. Yeah. The term "shut the door" is very resonant throughout my childhood and indeed my adult life.
Songwriting does run in your family, though, because your uncle, Calamity Jim, from the sensitive New Age Cowperson.
Did you ever see them?
I have heard some of their stuff.
Yeah,
I never
they're
saw
amazing.
them. Tell me about Calamity.
I wasn't really close to Jim, and I sort of forget. Sometimes it's about a few years ago, I went, oh, I've got an uncle who's a musical comedian. I never really clicked with that, but he's actually just a brilliant musician. He's played with Paul Kelly. I think he did a support for Dylan, and like, he's an amazing country musician. Doesn't have a clue what he's doing. He has no idea what he's doing. He can play anything with strings, including a fishing rod.
So he just feels music.
Yeah, he does. And he's brilliant. But he was kind of a wild musician in the 70s and stuff. And I grew up sort of going, well, if you're undisciplined, you might be, So I didn't. It took me ages to sort of think. Not because my parents were like, you have to be. They've always been supportive. But it took me for a long time. I think I'd written 3 or 4 scores for theatre shows before I went, oh, maybe I'm allowed to be a musician.
I want to show a bit of footage. This is about 2000, 2001, I think. You in Perth, just about to head east for your big break.
Tim Minchin has been writing music since he was a teenager. Approaching 26, he's just made his first CD with band Timmy the Dog, and in 2 weeks hopes to be knocking on the doors of record companies in the eastern states.
Ultimately, I'd like to write for my living, and I guess this album is a showcase of all different writing styles that I'm capable of.
Now...
Why do you hate the old you?
I'm not that keen on the current me.
Well, I hate the old you. No, I mean, I hate the old... I find... I've got no respect for me even a week ago.
When you see that you, what do you think?
I was always and am rather sort of sincere and analytical about my work. I'm compelled, and that album that I made, the story of the next couple of years is me taking this record which had 15 tracks on it, some of which were like that song I played a glimpse of. I'm in a moment of bliss, who'd take this moment away from me? In my moment of bliss, no one and nothing can touch me. And it's in moments like this when all that's around me is coloured like yesterday's troubles, like a child reflected in bubbles. It's not nice, just a nice songwriting songs.
Yes.
And then there was, who's the fella this week, bitch? And my heart belongs to an 18-year-old lesbian. And so I was compelled...
Traditional love songs and the other.
Yeah, that's right. I was compelled to write satirically, and a lot of my songs that came out of the one heartbreak I had as a young person, I'd sit there trying to write something deep and I couldn't stop. I couldn't help but go, get over it, mate. And then I'd write something silly instead. So writing silly was a compulsion.
But we've got some other footage here of you, because you ended up on your own playing in a place called the Butterfly Club, which seated about 40 people. This is from a documentary we're going to see a bit of called Rock and Roll Nerd, made by a friend of yours, about you during this period through Edinburgh. And this is Tim playing the Butterfly Club.
This show's about me, baby. Oh, this show's about me. Don't you know it? Oh.
Since I've started doing these silly cabaret shows, I feel like I'm onto something, and yet I still can't get my fucking agent to even come and watch.
My poor fucking agent. Yeah. She's a fucking lovely lady.
Yes, but she's also poor. I know.
Yeah, she's poor.
Yes, so you have no respect.
What's with this poverty?
What is it? Because there were nights where almost no one turned up. What keeps you going when no one's turning up? Is there a part of you that thinks, I'm just going to keep doing this until my wife leaves?
Yeah, it's just narcissism. It's like, I don't care if no one comes. I am, for me, I've never been that person. I've never so respected my art that I think whatever happens. For me, affirmation's been a massive ingredient. So even though I was doing gigs to no one and stuff, I was always doing 5 different things at once. I'd be playing in cover band on the weekend or doing that, and I just had enough people during that period go, shit, we haven't seen anything like that, or no, I had enough to keep me going.
In the piece, you had enough sense of where you were going to go, I want to work with a grand piano, which for somebody that wasn't, you know, raking in receipt-like money.
Yeah, it was audacious.
Was it a big call? How did you know that?
I think at some point with choosing to only play on grand pianos, I just went, I saw people going, being in a stand-up comedy club, and they'd have the keyboard, you know, this tiny little keyboard, they'd be standing up, going, this is a funny song, and that's a totally different game. What you're being to the audience is a little dude standing up at a keyboard like an 80s, you know, but sitting down at a piano, which is the beginning of the peace anthem that you saw earlier, and everyone's like, oh wow, you know, it sounds beautiful and we're familiar with this.
Yeah.
And we understand the idea of someone sitting at a piano with a long coat playing music that sounds like that. And then you go, we don't eat pigs, you don't eat pigs. And that's where the comedy is. So the piano is part of the razor status.
We're going to put a bit of footage up here from that documentary about you having your hair straight and getting the Tim Minchin look, because we could see from that earlier footage, you know, your curly head, you didn't look anything like the Tim Minchin on stage. How did you know that was the look?
I started taking the piss out of rock stars. And the fact that I'm ironically being a rock star, the audience ironically becomes a rock star audience. And in the end, I just get to be a fucking rock star. It's just great. And my look and everything and straightening the hair, it's all done with a sense of humour about it. And in the end, it's just me. It's like my skinny jeans. I started wearing skinny jeans and these boots. Just, I don't know if you can see them. And I like, because I see people wearing these and I go, you fucking want to be rock stars. You're such losers. So I start wearing them ironically. And now I just wear them.
When you were in Edinburgh, you got brilliant reviews, bar one, from a guy in The Guardian called Phil Doust. Do you remember what he said? You do.
Really? Yeah,
you do,
I remember a
you?
great deal of it. I probably only read it once, but it burns pretty hard in your head, and it's a stupid, you know that human thing that makes your partner go, you know, you look great, you're beautiful, you're great, you're thin, you're beautiful, you're great, you're thin, that looks a bit chubby, you're thin. And what do they remember, you know? Yes. We focus so heavily on the negative, and so that year I must have got, who cares how many good reviews, but this guy's words just sit in your head, because really what we're doing is wandering through life looking for people to confirm the fact that we're shit. You know?
Did it resonate because a part of you thinks he might be right?
That's exactly right. I mean, I think that's what I mean making that ridiculous statement is the reason insults hurt us so much is because on some level we feel that's truer than compliments.
Can we talk about the person that shared this ride with you, which is your wife, Sarah? You two were at adjoining schools. You met when you were both at school, right?
Yeah, I don't remember her from that meeting. She remembers me from year 12. I don't remember her till first year uni.
That must be a sore point.
Oh, she's pretty angry about that.
Yeah, that's right.
She's very ugly, though, so she just blends into the background.
Yeah. I have some pictures of your wedding, actually, where she looks anything but. Now, I believe that you, part of your wedding vows were song lyrics, is that right?
Oh, Jesus, you got that one.
She scrubs up very well, Tim. You?
She scrubs down pretty well.
Yes.
It's honestly, she's a scrubber, and whichever way she scrubs, she's.
This is one for the kiddies.
Yeah.
Yes.
I really like Sarah. Yeah, she's good, and she's really different. She's really different from me, and but we know everything about each other. But yeah, we did. I had the guy who married us, the canon of the Anglican Church, is an amazing guy for all my ranting against the Lord. He did the vows. He said them, and then we said them, and mine was, "Girl, I want to be with you all of the time, all day and all of the night." And hers was, "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are grey."
Oh, thank goodness you didn't choose "Is that all there is?" or something.
Well, actually, if I did it now, I think I'd probably be a little bit... No, I think if you can't sort of at least have a tiny bit of sincerity on your wedding day, then you're in big trouble. But mostly we just take the piss out of each other.
Where she's lucky is that you are able, with your talents, to write a love song for her. If I could ask you to give us a piece of a song you wrote for her called "If I Didn't Have You."
This is good. This is nice. If I didn't have you to hold me tight, if I didn't have you, if I didn't have you to lie with at night, when I'm feeling blue, if I didn't have you to share my sighs, and to kiss me and dry my tears when I cry, well, I really think that I would have somebody else. If I didn't have you, someone else would do.
And she must be very touched when you write
She's
something like that.
overjoyed. Actually, that one, I talk about her reaction on stage a bit, but when she first heard it, she didn't like it very much, and I realised immediately that she thought it was a song about love, but it's obviously a song about maths, because it's just got ridiculous lyrics about how statistically it's unlikely that she's the only person in the world for me. You know, it's mathematically unlikely that at a university in Perth I happen to stumble on the one girl on earth specifically designed for me. There's lyrics like that, and so she likes it more and more. But initially it felt a bit rough, because since we got together, my value in the eyes of the opposite sex has changed rather dramatically.
Is that right?
Yeah, just because people like people who play music and stuff, and I used to be, fatter and have curly hair and not any money or anything, and people are fickle, and so when I started appearing on telly, girls like me more.
Do you, because you're often on the road by yourself for long periods of time, do you have to resist temptation?
I did.
Did you?
I did, yeah.
Actually resist?
Well, oh no, I've had several affairs. Whoa, whoops! Oh God, what have I done? No, you so seductive interviewer. I slipped into your trap. I'd be like Alan Bond.
Okay. And cut. Perfect, thank you.
Cheers, thanks. There you go. I am very boring about it, really, but before we had a kid and stuff, no, even earlier than that, I love girls and stuff, and I like girls liking me, and I used to play the game more, so if someone liked me, I'd go la 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 and get all the way to where you would kiss someone or something, and I would stop. Then I'd go, oh, aren't I a good boy? I've done all the flirting, and then yeah. But I lost interest in that. It's just all bullshit. It's not bullshit, but doing the flirty thing it's disingenuous, and I'm just and there's lots and lots of nice young girls now, and there's too many to flirt with. But no one comes onto me. I'm not saying that. People don't go, come and here's my key. I'm just saying that it doesn't interest me anymore.
Your second show at Edinburgh was interesting because you went back there with a huge reputation, and then you got into some trouble for a song called If You Really Love Me. This is, well, there was a brouhaha, and this is Tim's description of it.
I was just walking around outside the venue, and this huge black dude came up to me and sort of just started saying, you, oh, fucking, I know who fucking you are, and if you use that word tonight, you better watch out, mate. We've got our eye on you or something.
Now let's set the scene here. That was the song If You Really Love Me, and that was because you used the N-word, nigger. Can you explain the context in which you used it?
Oh yeah, I can play the context, but I can't. I won't do the whole song.
Sure.
But it's a little bit like If I Didn't Have You. It's about how love is a bit conditional, and it has lines. Well, the verse just goes. I'm trying to work out where to pick it up, but it's got lines like, if you really love me the way you say you do. If you love me half as much as I love you, you would pluck a planet from the sky. You would use a star to dot the I, and I love you. And then it goes through to things like, you'd let me video you while you wee, standing up in the bath. You know, like it gets a bit weird. This particular verse goes, we go together like a cracker and brie, like racism and ignorance, like niggers and R&B. Which is pretty rough, but in the context of this, I actually feel very uncomfortable doing it on your show, because I've chosen to stop doing it. I don't mind doing it because I think I can defend it. However, the verse now goes, we go together like toast and pate, like racism and ignorance, like Jews and hogmanay. Which is kind of funnier and doesn't have any subtext. It's just silly.
Why? Because you did change it. Why did you change it?
There's two reasons I stopped doing it. One is because I realised that it's different in England, and I was ignorant of that, and that and I don't feel so strongly about the issue that I want to buck that social convention that you don't use the word.
Well, look, it takes somebody who's really thinking about their word to realise that's not the path I want to be on. Let's talk about an area that you are very confident on, that you totally believe in, which is religion.
I'm not really outspoken or raging against religious people, but when I'm on stage I talk about what I think about, and I think a lot about people's beliefs. I never got it. It's like I'm lacking the gene that makes people think that stuff. I'm not scared of the stuff we don't know.
What about faith? Religion and faith can be different things. Do you look at people with faith who have a strong set of moral principles that guide their life, who believe there's a way to operate?
I'm very specific about what I'm saying. In my new show, I'm talking about the church's treatment of homosexuality, which I find abhorrent, and the church's, that sort of rather insipid thing that people do where they go, oh, I don't really believe in God, but I think Christian morality, we need a moral compass. And it's just such lazy thinking. Faith has no positive resonance for me. Faith just means I'm going to believe something in the face of all other evidence. I don't know what that means. And a moral code should come from here. It's more valuable when it comes from here.
Do you want to...
My mum made me promise that I wouldn't make sweeping anti-religious statements on telly because she doesn't want me to get shot.
Sure.
So can I just say, if there are any religious fundamentalists out there, my mum would be really sad if I got shot.
No, they know God's going to strike you down, so you needn't worry about it.
Just for doing logic.
We're going to have to... We're going to have to... We're going to have to wrap in a minute. The doco about you ends with the birth of your little girl, Violet, who's now 2 years old.
Getting there.
I'm guessing you write some pretty interesting lullabies for her. Can you give us a little burst of something you've written for Violet?
I've got a song called The Christmas Song, which is about going home for Christmas, but it starts as a fairly secular rant. I'll just play you a little bit. I'll go from the second verse. It goes, I don't go in for ancient wisdom. I don't believe just 'cause ideas are tenacious, it means that they're worthy. Get freaked out by churches. Some of the hymns that they sing have nice chords, but the lyrics are dodgy. And yes, I have all of the usual objections to the miseducation of children who in tax-exempt institutions are taught to externalize blame and to feel ashamed and to judge things as plain right or wrong. But I still like the songs. I'm not expecting big presents. The old combination of socks, jocks and chocolates is just fine by me. 'Cause I'll be seeing my dad, my brother and sisters, my gran and my mum. They'll be drinking white wine in the sun. And you, my baby girl, my jet-lagged infant daughter, you'll be handed round the room like a puppy at a primary school. And you won't understand, but you will learn someday that wherever you are and whatever you face, you'll know whatever comes. Your brothers and sisters and me and your mum will be waiting for you in the sun, drinking white wine in the sun. Baby, when Christmas comes, we'll be waiting for you in the sun, waiting. Yeah. There's an ending.